hear anybody talking about anything that I talk about. Certain things before do not entice me or do not, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You see the guy behind the curtain. You just can't. So a lot of this stuff that we're doing or listening to is detrimental for our people. It's an agenda behind pumping out some of that music. Well, I was out in Arizona for a while. I was out in Arizona, lived out there for about 3 years, and DMX was out there during that time. I never got a chance to meet him, but I had been to the studio that he would record at a number of times.
Yeah.
Salt Mine Studio out there in Mesa, Arizona. So I was an inch away from running into him a few times, but and I knew other artists that actually worked with him at that particular time.
Exclusive interviews.
Here on Worldwide Entertainment TV, we tap in with an artist who's been building in the underground for over a decade, Pengame Classic, and now stepping into a spotlight here on Worldwide Entertainment TV. So you've
Thanks
been
for.
in the game,
I was gonna say thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
no problem, man. That's what we're here for, let the artists tell their stories. So you've been in the game for over a decade or so?
Yeah, it costs about 15 years or more. Seriously, yeah.
Okay. So what kept you going when most artists probably would just forget about the whole
Ye-
thing?
Yeah, what kept me going is just self motivation. Anybody that's good in something, whether it's painting or any art, most painters and Renaissance composers died before they got, before their work became popular. So I don't do it for that, or as far as I'm very in tune to, and that goes into this one of one with just
Yeah,
becoming one, knowing uh what not only me but our people are really good at, and using that as almost a therapy throughout life, a way to conduct energy
yeah,
and not use my energy the wrong way when obstacles or certain things happen in life where I might have, if I didn't have the music, I don't know what I probably would have did in certain situations
yeah,
where I didn't have anything to grasp on and keep me motivated and keep me going. So and after a while I wanted to become better, and I started meeting people who were, involved in the business and stuff over the years. And then it just became, okay, now I have to be a better version of what I just previously did. And throughout the years, that just started to snowball into more and more momentum for myself. And I just started just saying, hey, I got to keep getting better each year. And now here we are.
yeah. So what separates Pen Game Classic from every other artist in the underground scene right now?
Is the subject matter, the things that I discuss, the things that I talk about. I don't hear anybody talking about anything that I talk about.
Yeah,
My intro song, vibrational setting, and just the just how I'm shifting more into what uh what a higher consciousness would be if I wanted to sit down and listen to some hip hop music. A person who's already opened up to, I am aware of my surroundings. I'm aware of where I'm at. I'm aware with myself and to my higher self, and certain things before do not entice me or do not, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You see the guy behind the curtain. You just can't. So a lot of this stuff that we're doing or listening to is detrimental for our people. It's an agenda behind pumping out some of that music, and that music is killing our people. And to take responsibility and ownership of that, since I'm talented, and if I didn't have nothing to do with music, I'd just be verbalizing it. But since I actually am in music, I actually can make I actually can be the change agent for the culture. I can change, make better music, make music that is higher vibrational, and I'm still crafty enough and skilled enough where it's not like when we were growing up, if you were listening to Will Smith, during a gangster music era, people were going to look at you like, man, you playing that Will Smith, getting jiggy with this stuff. I'm over here playing this Fab and Jada, or this Jay-Z or DMX, and
Yeah.
get that Will out of here. Not to be corny or to be on that level with it, because I'm just crafty enough to make it doable for all likes of listeners.
Okay, it's interesting you said that because you brought up how the game had like differing viewpoints and styles. And you talked about the consciousness and everything. And I don't know if you know, today is the day that DMX passed.
Wow, we just brought him up, and wow, I didn't know it. Oh, man,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Because
Wow.
when you said the skit thing at the beginning, I thought of that, and then I said DMX used to do that. So
Ah, okay. And
where
this
were you
man,
when you first heard DMX pass down? What was your thoughts on DMX at that time and DMX overall?
well, I was out in Arizona for a while. I was out in Arizona, lived out there for about 3 years, and DMX was out there during that time. I never got a chance to meet him, but I had been to the studio that he would record at a number of times.
Yeah.
Salt Mine Studio out there in Mesa, Arizona. So I was an inch away from running into him a few times, but and I knew other artists that actually worked with him at that particular times. I was I just felt very down for him, man. Like, no, I felt like no one was around, and I felt that if it were today, maybe somebody would be there to help him or be around. I'm not saying help him like save his life, but just be there for him, because we don't know what he was saying or what he was doing to rush the results that took place. Because there's a lot of stuff happening with these guys. And
Yeah.
and I just when I look at that, I think about that now, and I'm like, because he's very verbal, man. He talks, he's hard to control. So that's what I think about when I think about that. And I'm just saddened by it that he just really didn't have, anybody to, around him, not to discredit his family or that anybody that did reach out. I'm just saying that I know locally living in Arizona, DMX would be just riding around Dolo and going to places by himself. And I know he had some issues, that they claim he had some mental and, some issues, but that's allegedly, and we don't really know. But yeah, I was just saddened by it, because that's a great artist, and we lose so many. And he spoke so real about the industry. Like, he was one of the ones that really, really spoke real about it and how he just did not care for it. And I respected him for that always.
Yeah, because even in his last IG lives and everything, he was bringing out the Bible, reading scriptures and prayers and everything, which is not something that you normally see in the music industry.
Nah, it's not. And
Yeah.
he was just a wonderful brother, man. Wonderful. Love his energy. Love his energy and his connectedness to God.
I like how you brought up the Arizona part because a lot of people forget that that's where he was in Arizona living
Hmm.
right there. So how would you describe your sound to someone hearing you for the first time?
I would say, first of all, tell them to buckle up. And then I would tell them the best way to describe it is I approach it like a film director or producer or director. Each song, well, for one, I would tell them, do not listen to, one or two or three songs and think, oh, this is how this artist is. Some artists, you listen to them and they still kind of have the same, what you call a signature, that style, that same flow, mainly throughout their music, where you can tell it's them. You can tell it's me because of my voice, but my styles, they change because I treat each song, I focus on albums. So I don't focus on just one song. I only go to the studio to make albums. I rarely go in and do singles. So when I'm making my albums, I'm like a film director. Each episode is kind of like, or each song is like an episode. Well, when you put those together, it's like a movie. So rather it's story content that connects to songs, or rather it's frequency or energy or feel from the music, it will flow where it is a press play cover to cover. And that's how I want my music to be. And I have my own formula for that I go by, so that when somebody knows they're getting my music, they know it's already manufactured for push and play. And it's going to be themed like a movie. Like I got the one of one. I have Nostalgia of a Fall Classic, my last project before going back, Metaverse, going back, Picasso's theme, and Mellow Aphrodite, and then Graffiti Rap, my last 6 or 7. They all have their theme, and the project stays consistent to that theme. So it's really like a film director and film producer approach with how I put it together. And that way my listener, it knows what they're getting into. They kind of know, okay, I know what he's doing now. He's going this route with it, or
Yeah,
whatnot. So
that's interesting because I know a few years ago I read a book and they said Tupac had that same kind of mentality where he said one time that a lot of artists don't realize they have to go into character when they're doing their music because it's still like an art form and you have to make people get the story that you're telling.
I'm gonna explain it to you, my brother. I'm explaining to you what you just said, and how it resonated with me, and how I figured out that's part of my formula. But I'll go into it for you.
Yeah,
After you rap for so long, there's only so many times you can say so many things. There's only so many, like, you got to really stretch your mind. You got to stretch your consciousness, and you have to be receptible for all. What is the best way to do that? I call it verbal imagery. That's what I like to go. I focus everything on
picture the
when you hear it, you need to see it. And the way to see it is it has to be clear and concise speech, pronunciation, and that way the story is painted clear. It can't be a lot of, it could be certain, I call it cool talk or slang or whatever. It has to be just to the minimum where the a listener across the world is going to be able to understand what is being said enough to keep the story, to keep the story going. So it's been a lot of tweaking this over the last 6 or 7 years with this style or this way, because I just got bored. I got bored with just, oh, I'm gonna do an album, and producers and stuff say, oh, let's make this song. And I got bored, and I said, this is the only way I'm gonna challenge myself, because if I'm not, I remember Michael Jordan saying in it was I think it was Michael Jordan's Playground was the cassette tape back then.
yeah.
The cassette tape. He said, if I lose my fire or passion from the game, that's when I'm gone. And he's like, I don't care if it's tomorrow or next week. The day that I lose the passion for the game, I'm
Yeah,
gone. And that's how I always thought about him saying that back in the 80s and early 90s. And I that stayed with me as a child. When I started getting older, I thought, look, if you don't have the same fire and passion to do it, then you're cheating yourself and you're cheating the listener. And it's just time for you just need to stop doing it.
it's funny because I was just gonna say what you just finished saying, cheating the listener. I seen when Jordan also said he played all his games compared to he didn't make a comparison to these players, but he
Yeah.
did say he played every game because he knows the person way up at the top bleacher probably worked all week to buy the ticket to see him. So
Yeah.
he
And
knew
we
he
come
had
from
to
that.
always like remember the person listening or watching him. You have to reach them even if it's the most average listener and it's not your core base. But so that's what came to my mind when you said cheating the listener.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So right now fans are debating matchups like Kanye West versus Jay-Z or even Drake in a versus. Who do you think wins in a battle like that?
Drake has the potential to beat all of them if you're looking at the overall skill set, the depth and the range of each artist and what they can speak about. Kanye also, because that's a very close one, because Kanye, I call it, well, most people would say, oh, it's the loose screw in him. He will
Yeah.
say things that Drake will not say. He will enter a space or a realm that Drake isn't going to enter. And he might say things, and because that energy or whatever he's drawn from that thought or that space, that's a very powerful place. So he may not have all the good lines like Drake or the good flow like Drake, but he's pulling energy from a realm that is very destructive. Because when he attacks, and you hear it in him when he speaks, like when he has his rants and when he's speaking on TV, when he was
That's
saying,
what I was thinking of when you just said
yeah, when he was saying,
you used to call
oh,
it his waves of
Shaq.
consciousness.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's when you used to say you used to have his waves of consciousness
Yeah.
segment in his concerts.
And he's saying Shaq will he says that they tell Shaq what to do. They'll tell Jay-Z what to do, but they won't tell me what to do. I'm talking about that Kanye.
Yeah, I
Whatever,
know.
and take that mind into a studio where he's thinking in that realm. That's it. Just depends on where he's at in his mind, and he's making his music. That Kanye is very powerful. If he made music under that state of mind,
Yeah,
then it's gonna overtop anything Drake, because Drake's coming from a more of a, I'm going to manufacture this song, piece it together, put in all the components, where Kanye is more of that Tupac. When he gets like that, he can
yeah,
just come off and then it doesn't matter how skilled you are or how good you are with your wordplay. When you're doing that, that's coming from a different place. That energy's coming from a different place, and you can really feel it when he speaks, because it's that rebel
yeah.
energy.
So, what do you think about rap battles and beef? Because I seen Jay-Z recently said maybe that's a thing that they should put in the past for hip hop because it's destructive.
I'm going to say that I'm going to speak or assume that I knew kind of where he was going with that, because I didn't quite hear him explain it this way. But I thought at first hypocritical statement of him, considering how he came up. But then I had an interview before, and the guy, my last interview, he opened up my mind to the fact that maybe, being older and having a child. And I say, yeah, that's true, because I have a daughter, and you say stuff at home, you need to say it out in the public too. Your kids need to see you stand, like they say today, standing on business or standing on 10. You need to say it. So if that was his approach, then I understand. But my thing is just from a isolated music approach, not your kids, not how you're viewed in society, just music. You come up, it's like a basketball player doing things a certain way and then retiring and saying, "Oh, we're not doing that no more." That is the developmental process of being an artist. Rather it's a cipher or a battle, those are elements of the culture. Now, if it gets too disruptive, and it's starting to become a hazard, then I believe that, yes, the forefathers or the elders or whoever that are in position that are over the culture need to regulate, step in, and make sure that the people are not engaged in activities that will harm them or harm their loved ones or other people around. But for the sport of it, if we're keeping it in the context of the sport, I see nothing wrong with it, because you can go out and do boxing. You can go out and do football. You can go out and do football, rugby,
Yeah,
all these sports where it is competitive. It is highly competitive. So I don't think we should put rap there. We're trying to literally put rap into a corner and push it away and say, go away. And I don't think he saw the way that I'm looking at it. And I don't think I saw the way he portrayed it, or maybe it was edited and I couldn't see. But that is a part of the game. So and I come from Michigan, I'm not from Detroit, but we know that scene. That is a part of the history of my state. Battles, ciphers. So no, 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 no. And I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna go there and put that down on an interview for everybody to see. I can't stand on that statement, but I understand where he was coming from and how he
I get
thought
how
about
you.
it.
I like how you broke it down.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I could see what you're saying with his perspective, and then the hypocrisy of it. Because I seen the debate online.
And it brings a good conclusion where we should dialogue like that with each
Yeah,
other instead
yeah,
of being so like I felt that in me, like how could he say that? But then when the brother said, hey, he has a daughter, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I see. I said, yeah, okay, you don't want violence. We don't want any of that. We don't want any violence, people getting killed and
yeah,
family members. We don't want that. We're talking a sport, people, just the sport of the game and of the culture. That's all.
yeah. As you were bringing that up there, there's another element that I seen said the last hip hop song that was at the top of the charts on Billboard was Drake's song like 9 months ago, I believe.
Hmm.
We're asking if Drake could do it again and break the drought. But then there are some people that have been saying the Kendrick and Drake beef, it split the culture and it might have did some damage because now the hip hop artists aren't charting as before the beef, which which I did see a lot of reports saying hip hop hasn't been on the top 10 for a good amount
Yeah,
of weeks and everything.
I have two ways to briefly explain that from my viewpoint, and I'm gonna go with your first point. Uh, things come in cycles. During the Tupac beef and during that beef, and I remember LL and Cannabis and some of these other beefs that have gone on throughout time. It did split fandom, but we were so occupied with the good music. They just don't have good music today. That's the thing. So I just had when I was hear these questions, I just remember what was I doing in '94 when such and such was going after such and such. I was we made it we these kids today, they're out with their phones and stuff. We would go home and
Yeah.
sit in the house on rainy days and go through tape decks all day long. Weren't when it was bad weather, we're listening to tapes and CDs all day and playing the video game. Like the music was constant. So we weren't really just, oh, this person, cannabis, LL destroys cannabis. Okay, we're listening to Mace or listening to somebody else or listening to like we weren't so
You
the
know how
fact that
crazy,
there's no
how
music
crazy
for
this
them
is
to
just
play,
now? You
huh?
know how crazy what you're saying is? Just before the interview here, I had lunch with my friend and I was telling him about a podcast clip that I saw with L.A. Reid and the guy from Boys to Men.
Yeah,
And they talked about this very topic and they said at the time, when you're born into basic something like when you're born into a rich family, you don't know that you're born into a rich family.
that's right.
So in this era here that you're speaking of, there was so much different artists and variety. We believed it was going to always be at that
Always be
level
like that. Yeah.
constantly. But as you said, it goes in cycles, and we're seeing the dips, and then the new artists coming in. But yeah, I just when you were saying that, I was like, I just had this conversation.
No, that is accurate. And you got the other part of it is when you look at Kendrick and Drake also what they're I mean, you have weird things going on behind the scenes. That's what I'm trying to package this in a way where I don't know allegedly we can put the disclaimers. I'm just going off of what I've heard that when you start getting into what the lawsuits and the things that are going on, it's really hard to say if some of this was manufactured because it was a money funnel going in and it mirrors everything that's going on in the country. We hear today, allegedly, people, stock manipulation with what's going on over there in Iran. Allegedly, people. But I follow patterns. If I see that's what makes my consciousness pick up on things that are going on. I look for patterns, numbers. So that's why people look at the number patterns and stuff on the Freemason thing, but I look for patterns. And when I see a pattern, I home in on it. And I'm seeing a lot of manipulating. I'm seeing a lot of conglomerating businesses. Hey, we're tanking. We're going down. Let's come together. But before we do it, let's get some money out of this. So it's just looking kind of tainted, but it has nothing to do with the artist. So there's a lot of good art out there. And I just believe that the agenda is not to really put the publicity for these artists or to really shine a light. There is an artist, I don't know if you heard of the group Infinity Song. Have you heard of Infinity Song? They're a group that remind me of the Jackson 5. Uh, they are one of the most incredible groups ever. They are from Michigan, and Jay-Z signed them to Rock Nation years ago. They've been out for years, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
The sister, the lead singer, Momo, one of the best artists in the group, she's going solo. She has an album out about to be out on the 10th called Miss Michigan. Now, overseas, this group is like almost like rock stars, like the Beatles. Nobody knows about them in the States. Nobody knows about them. This girl is like, this is like her leaving her brothers and her other sister to start her solo is equivalent to Michael Jackson leaving the Jackson 5. Like that's how good their
Yeah.
music sounds, like the 1960s and the 1970s. That's how their music is, with the harmonizing and
Yeah.
it just makes you think you're back in the old America.
That's him.
So we have a lot of good artists. It's just not really being. They're just not. It's a money grab to me with these businesses. I don't think they're really focusing on long term. I think they're just trying to grab, get money, and then put it into something else. So, but yeah, you go on with it.
You wouldn't believe how this interview is flowing because there's three things that's lining up with what you were just saying. And
Synergy,
the last
brother. The
question I
synergy.
was gonna ask you was the Michael Jackson biopic, but there's still two things in there that I'm gonna bring up to slide into that.
Okay.
The patterns thing. I actually had a conversation with my friend at the lunch I had with him. Same
Yeah.
thing. I told him about the AI and for businesses, if you treat it like an employee, the strength of the AI is it picks up patterns and it could help you guide what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting when you brought up the patterns thing because I think you're definitely right there. And then when you're talking about the whole thing about a lot of good artists are out there, but then the AI music and the AI artists is another stream that the music industry could go in terms of the money makers where they could cut out the artists even more.
Yeah. You're right. It's there's what you call it, the polarities of not only the planet but just people and our electromagnetic fields and our auras and all that we have. There are going to be positive. There's going to be negative. Our ancestors showed us that with the yin yang symbol and all this other stuff from so long ago. We're going to have adversaries as far as energy. So there's going to be people out there that are going to do uh the things that don't line up with people who are more positive or people who are more negative energy driven. But the thing is that people become too powerful and there's not a balance. That's the problem. You have all these different polarities and stuff, and say there's a 50 people that are positive energy, 50 people that are negative, and these people have more money and more power than these people. It doesn't matter if their numbers are balanced. These people are more powerful because they're controlling more stuff. And now we have to have establish a balance. And we are way, as a world, we are way unbalanced. That's why it's so chaotic and so because rather it's the universe, the earth is trying to correct the energy, and that's why we're in a whole chaotic state because we give off our vibrations with our feelings and what we think. So we're literally shaping and molding each day, and it's almost fascinating to see. That's why our earth is a living organism, because the earth reacts off of us, we react off of it. The sun emits, and helps and repairs, and everything is living and moving. And
Yes,
if
sir.
you're a conscious being, aware enough to understand that, you actually feel it and see it right now. And then you got people who are not, and they're just focusing on the material things, the money, and the other side is starting to gain more and more and more power, but that people don't see it because it's non-physical. It's non-physical things that are adjusting and changing in people, and that is the divine. That is through God. That is the divine. So you can't tally it up or keep a score. You just have to feel and see and observe and watch those patterns. Watch those patterns, and that will keep you in the game. That'll let you know who's winning, is watching those patterns. And when I see desperation, cash grabs, wars, wars that don't make sense, stock manipulation, those are desperation. That's desperation. If I'm powerful, I'm sitting on my throne. I'm not worried about, I'm not getting that somebody else go do that. I'm powerful. I'm sitting here. So we're seeing a bunch of that lets you know people are not in control. They're not. And we're seeing it in everything in life, music, sports. It's saturated through life and culture that you can go outside and just split it with a knife.
This is like a good breakdown because when you're talking about the industry and then the moving parts, one of the biggest artists that there ever was, Michael Jackson, has a biopic dropping. But it's been getting a lot of praise, and then you're hearing stuff like Janet Jackson not being a fan of it, but then they're saying that's a rumor, and then allegations are popping up all of a sudden again as soon as this comes out. Do you think artist stories are being told accurately in biopics?
No, can't be. And I'm gonna explain. I know good brother of mine, like a brother to me, Cool Rock Ski. I'll use him for an example from the Fat Boys. We talk all the time. That's a brother of mine. We've done, music together. He's still in my corner for music, but he's the last one left. Buff Love, the Human Beatbox Machine, and Prince Marky D are gone. So Cool Rock's the last one left. And when we have we have these conversations, and I'm just like, man, you got to put this biopic together. I don't want to hear anyone talking about the Fat Boys but you. You're the last one here. You need to put that biopic together so we get a accurate assessment of what you guys, went through. You are the closest thing to those guys, and he has told me stories about them with Salt and Pepper on tour, and I've even cross-referenced it with, Salt through with the group Salt and Pepper, told her a few things about that tour about them. He just was saying they were young kids. They were young teenagers. He said, Salt would, was let the guys know the guys were scared of Salt.
Yeah.
During these tours, they felt he says Salt knocked somebody out. He didn't use that word, but
Oh,
Salt
yeah.
was very feared. Guys were fearing Salt, and
Yeah.
Buff and Prince Marky D are running around throwing stuff out of the window on the fans. Buff and them, they're acting crazy. And he's telling me all these stories. And I'm just like, wow, as far as the management, the mismanagement, how they did not get their money, how they don't even have the rights to the Fat Boy name. And the disco, he got Disco 3. That's what they were before they were the Fat Boys, but they don't even have the rights to the name. Terrible contracts, terrible for teenagers. And their parents were not equipped enough during that era to understand that. They're talking about immigrant parents. Some of them, parents coming from the Caribbeans or they didn't know nothing about this business. With their young teenagers popular, they didn't even know. They barely. He said when rap came out, nobody liked rap. Nobody. He said everybody looked at rap, even in the industry, thought rap would not last for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Nobody
My
thought
dad was like,
nothing about it.
my dad thought it was a
Huh?
fan. Yeah, my dad was like that. He's like people talking on a song. My
Yeah.
dad,
So you remember, because I remember back then, I remember hearing some older people say, oh, that gibberish, that just, and Buff, he was doing the beatboxing with the mouth. People kind of like that, but they looked at it as silly. They look like, oh, that's silly stuff, man. That's
Yeah.
not. And to see where it has gone now, I'm like, they might have been right about some of this music now, not, but
You
not
know,
then.
things been the money maker for the industry.
And we're talking Michael Jackson. No one's gonna like that biopic. I don't care how good that biopic is. Nobody's gonna
Yeah, it's
like it.
gonna get
There's
that pick
not
for
gonna be
sure.
an agree. It is never. There's not gonna be an agreement
Yeah, for sure.
because Michael Jackson is just larger. And I don't know. I had a pleasure. My father was overseas. I was in Berlin during the time Michael Jackson was at his height of his career, his apex. And we actually saw Michael Jackson. We were riding in between, I forget where we at because I was just a kid. We were going either south of Berlin, I think south to a southern part of Germany. We were driving through, and is tour bus and BMWs in the 80s. You know, BMW, yeah, the
Oh, I was
BMWs.
just gonna ask you which era, Mike. If you said
Yeah,
eight,
because
that's
you can
fun.
tell that, I'll tell you how you know. In Germany, you're talking 88, 89, 88, 87-ish, and the body of the Beamer was the late 90s.
Yeah,
Remember it used to be like a box shape. Mike
yeah,
was riding in the newer shape that some people are still driving now.
yeah,
They were riding in the newer shape BMW, which was basically 10 years ahead of what the general public was riding. They still were riding in the box. So that way people really know that I'm in Germany, in another country. You can tell that my story is on point. Buses, new style Beamers,
yeah,
and I'm in the back seat, and my mother and father, I just hear them talking. And I stay in the back seat. They go into the gas station because Mike was traveling somewhere and they stopped. And my dad, soldier, very stern man, rarely see him getting
yeah,
giddy and excited, was like telling my mom, hey, that's Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson. And then, I was a huge fan. So I'm, looking like that. And sure enough, he was walking past, looked over at us, waved, got in the car with some two men and the bus or whatever, and they drove off. And I tried to picture that day and keep that in my mind for the rest of my life, because it was one of those things where you're in a place that you're not supposed to be,
yeah.
Germany, and I'm from the States, and he's over there touring, and I just get lucky that, once in a lifetime to be able to see him. So I just really resonate with that. And I believe that there's no way that people are going to really agree that that biopic is good unless he had his hands on it. That's the only way, unless he
Ironically,
was making it.
because ironically, we're saying that's when the movie ends, the bad era.
Oh,
Yeah, because what came out now, they said they had to reshoot a lot of the ending because the ending was gonna touch upon the accusations, but then they said there was some legal tie-up, so they cut the movie to the bad era, and then they said there's gonna be a sequel if the movie that comes out does really well. They have enough footage to do the second part.
well, good, because I think that they need to rewrite their wrongs, and I mean wrongs by the falsely accusing, allegedly, and the things that were happening and coming up in Epstein files and things that we've all had the privilege of seeing that exonerate this man from from the public court, not the actual courts.
Yeah, I think,
His reputation got ran through the mud publicly.
and I think that was the issue because I don't know how the state never knew that they couldn't bring up the people's names from the 93 case
Yeah.
legally. That's why so the people that are still alive, they're the ones that said that they can't give the go for it.
Okay.
So I guess it's going to what you're saying. It's probably in their minds going to put real doubt more now in people's mind about the whole accusation. why that legal thing came in, and then they just had to cut it out completely from the ending
I
of the
got you.
movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing about the estates is just like the Tupac estate, because we used to do the Tupac Media Center.
Oh yeah, I read that. I read that
Yeah,
about you guys. Yeah.
and when people hear that, they're thinking it's Tupac's family and everything. It's not. It's two separate, different things. Just like the Metro
Okay.
estate is different from Catherine and everything. There's
Got
lawyers and stuff
got you.
involved. Yeah. Something else that you just said that oh yeah, the Fat Boy story was funny because I just saw a video about 80s rap stars and where they're now and everything. And when you were telling the story there, I was saying to myself, you know, that's very true because you have people having third hand things and then making up their thoughts of what it was
Yeah.
instead of
And
the
they get
person that
upset.
lived it.
Yeah, they get
But
upset and they he's Cool Rock Ski has had the he saw biopics, and we've discussed other ones. We've discussed other ones, and people would say consensus. Oh, that's not good. That's not, and we'll talk about it and discuss it. And I'm like, see, this could be you all. You all. This could be you all. Someone else, because I'm like, as soon as transition, that's a money maker. You may not have the money for it, but somebody else could, and they could come in, and y'all already don't have the rights to the name. Somebody come in, and it's like a machine, because all people that understand about an artist is a business or a product or a brand. If I come in and invest, I can pick whatever. If I have all the avenues and the funding, I can pick an artist and blow them up. They've already showed us that.
yeah,
So the same with these biopics and these movies. If that's like investments just lying around. If people who are really into stocks, that Fat Boys biopic, each artist's careers that are not forward mobile, meaning that they don't have money and backing to push their brand further, that those are easy and pick up easy
yeah,
stocks for people with money. I come in and I'm scooping up that Fat Boys. I'm the holder. I'm gonna dish it out like I'm the artist. Because music never dies. None of that stuff never dies. The people die, but
yeah,
that stuff lives on, and who's ever funding it is getting paid. So people have to look at this stuff differently, man. I try to always tell younger artists this. I said, you are a business. I said, it started off as a, little fun game on the corner in New York. I'm like, this is a big business now.
yeah, it
So
is.
there's people getting paid so much money that generations are good off the money that they've made off of rap and, off of artists, not that they were even involved in music. So it's very important. And I really, really, really agree with you on, the perception of some of these biopics.
It's crazy that you're bringing up like the business people that come in and swoop in for certain things because we never talked about this publicly, but you hit the point on what happened. Things just got really different once Afeni died. I'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that. And then
I bet.
yeah,
Yep.
the
Because
things
it's
went
new life.
yeah,
And then here's the kicker. Here's the thing that's next that people don't understand. Look at what we just said, and now let's put it into perspective, because to be conscious and to be aware, you got to see the future a little bit. Okay,
yeah,
so now I have the rights to all this stuff, right? And now I have the artist because AI. So if I have AI of all the Fat Boys and I own everything, it's like they never died. New music coming. Now I'm pumping, but the man, we're asleep at the wheel as a society. We are asleep at the wheel because this thing is. I don't want to put fear, because we don't need to be fear. I don't want us vibrating at a low frequency. So we need to be, but just to be aware of how they're taking it. They can go really, really far with this thing, and that's why I see the fight for AI so much, because
yeah,
I'm just look at it from a profitable perspective. If I'm a profit, I'm a person I don't have nothing to do with music, and I want to invest, and it's a profit. Okay, you mean to tell me I can purchase a catalog or I can do this, and then the AI element where I can actually keep a dead artist going? Let's bid on that Tupac. Get a bunch of these business guys. Okay, it's like an auction. Who to the Tupac catalog or all the rights to Tupac or for sale. 50 million, 60 million. It's an auction. So if whoever purchases that and has the rights is filthy rich forever because the AI won't die. So I see where they're trying to go with this because here's the other pattern because here's the sequence buying all those artists' catalogs. Remember how this was every year we're hearing, oh, this artist. Yeah, when I have all the money, artists think, oh, people are just they're investing in me and they're invested in me. There's agenda in there too. We buy up all your catalogs. We got AI coming down the pike, merge it all together. Now we are in control of not only the narrative, the message, the money, the art. Man, that plan is so good, so diabolical. It's like an evil genius, and you just have to applaud it because it's
You
so
know what's
well thought
crazy as
out
you're
when you
saying
have
that?
the money to execute it.
As you're saying that, and we're talking about Tupac and Michael. Did you notice that there are the two artists that had the hologram first before the AI
Yes.
came in?
And see the hologram, another pattern where we can get a performance. Now that has, okay, we can get a AI body. Maybe that's why they want these robots operational. You see the robot doing the karate and flipping on its head and shooting the basketball, the little robots that they have. Now they're putting, we went from that phase. Now they put the faces on them, and pretty soon those things, they'll try, I don't want to speak this into existence, but I'm just thinking performance-based robots too that could do these other things as well is where they're going to try to go, which I don't know how far they are from it or not, but it's just I'm just know there's nothing new under the sun. And if I think it, then I know they definitely think it.
So made me think of Michael's Michael's nephew playing him in the movie. From what you were saying, that everyone's gonna say it can't be accurate. So maybe having a family member play him, it's
I
gonna
think
make people more.
that's a good. I personally, my personal opinion is I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be watchable. I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
from what I
good,
seen too.
and I like to see with my visual. I mean, we're visual people. We see, we see when we hear and we talk, but we're visual. I want to see an actor that really looks like the guy. And then I'm kind of
Yeah,
more bought in and more invested, more invested to it. The same with the Biggie one. I thought the Biggie movie was so good that P. Diddy was a part of because the artist Gravy looked like Notorious Big. He looked like him. He rapped. So it made it. I know the storylines, there's probably stuff missing and people will criticize that. Fine, I get it. But from the perspective of I'm looking at this artist, reminds me of Notorious Big, sounds like Notorious Big. It makes the movie more believable, more watchable. To look at the previews of the Michael Jackson, I see the nephew, he looks like him. They stop him in the store, and it made me think about Germany. When the
yeah.
little white kid and mom were sitting there and they're looking, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Michael." It made me think about being a child in the back seat of that car, my parents running to the car looking like eyes like this. Like I've
And it
never
just gave me
seen them like
goosebumps
that.
seeing
My
that, man.
father was I had a mean dad growing up. He was a soldier.
So that's
He
how
was
it
over
just
there
said,
fighting. He was over there fighting in war. He was
yeah.
fighting Desert Storm when we were over there. So he was not, I don't never see him like that. To see him all, excited and stuff. I didn't know what was going on. So that's more believable when you have elements in there that really bring the character back, bring the character to life.
I felt like how you just brought down the music industry for artists out there that are in the streets and everything. We've had situations like Gucci Man and Pooh Shiesty, where
Yeah.
real life issues impact careers. How do artists balance credibility versus longevity?
It's gotta be tough. It's a fight that they can't win. A battle that they should not participate in and win, because when you're looking at a agenda base, see, that's the problem with that I have with our people when we try to when we assess things that are not right amongst our community, and we say, yeah, that's not right, that's not right, and I mean the Black Americans, that's not right, we got to do better here, we got to do better there, but then we turn around and do the most stupidest things to each other. And my thing is, we get out, we're not focused enough to realize that this entire blanket system over us is all intertwined. People, it's hard for people that are not awake to realize your food, your TV, your child's school, your policing, your this, your that, your this, your that is all twisted apart into your destruction.
Yeah.
So when you go out every day, you get comfortable. And we get comfortable when it comes to certain stuff with each other. When we think, I think if we knew we were at war, or we're at war, or they're at war with us every day, we would respond. We wouldn't do these things. But because we're comfortable, some of us that are still asleep, they think it's business as usual, like a normal
Yeah.
life, like the government's working properly. No one would ever poison my water. You know what I'm saying, is good for me.
Yeah.
Things like that. I'm gonna go get another one. You know, the doctors are showing me commercials on TV telling me to go do that. We're not we don't live in that type of world, let alone country. So when we're seeing guys do that, it makes me really question: is it a publicity stunt? Are there agents to the system? Because that movie they cloned Tyrone
Yeah.
and a couple of other. I listen to a lot of good metaphysical speakers from the 90s: Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair, Dr. Ben Jacobs, a lot of guys, from all over the world. And when you realize and certain things, you can't take it off. Dick
You can't
Gregory is famous for
see it.
saying, when you put those shade, when you have your sight, you
You know
can't
what's so
take it
crazy?
off.
I
Once
just
you
saw
see,
that
you
clip a
see.
couple of days ago.
You saw that a couple of days? Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
just saw it a couple
reference
of
I
days ago.
reference that a lot. So once
Yeah,
you
man.
see and you got the vision, you can't pretend that you can't see no more. So when I see these patterns, once again, these patterns, and they come up every time. When people I've heard Bobby Hemmett, or these guys, Bobby Hemmett's perfect for this. He said, anything you see on the television or behind big dollars, it's agenda based. It's agenda based. So if they're going to put anything on their programs that a lot that's behind a lot of dollars or advertisement, there's going to be an agenda base. So the news, the media, these little petty beefs. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a part of the script or whatever they're trying to do to lower the vibe. They're over here in this country, just to sum it up and make it quick. These artists today are agents for the frequency to lower the frequency.
You
When
know
you
what?
see this
You know
mischief,
what's so crazy? Because my follow-up question was gonna ask you, do you think the industry still rewards that lifestyle or it exploits it? And
it's
you're already
definitely
touching
exploiting
on,
it. It's
yeah,
exploiting it because if what we've seen is correct allegedly in these files, then we know the music industry is also webbed into this as well.
yeah,
And I'm looking at what was said about African Americans in those files, or just melanated people, period, in general. And if you're going to web everything in my existence around my downfall, then we want to criticize Nazi Germany, right? We want to criticize Nazi Germany for the propaganda that they spewed on the world. Well, we're doing the same thing here. Well, not we, because I'm removed myself from it. I'm
yeah,
not a part of it. But this country is doing the same thing and has been doing the same thing ever since that war ended, or did it. So, we're wondering, you see the Man in the High Castle on what's it, on Prime? I don't know if you've seen that. The Man on the High Castle. You guys, if you haven't seen that, watch it.
yeah,
It's a version that the Nazis win the war. They show it in America. The Nazis had won the war in this
yeah,
series, and the flag. was red, white, and blue with the swastika on it, and New York had the swastika or whatever on the statue. They put the statue over it, and half the country was split. Japanese had the west coast, the middle was neutral, and the east to the south was all Nazi, or like they call it, the Reich territory. And they have found the time machine, man, and they had atoms and stuff like that, and they went through a freaking portal in this thing, and they went back and changed the outcome. So that's why this stuff is crazy. You see, these scientists are missing. All the for these generals and these scientists are missing. Nah, that don't happen. Brother, we could be on here talking all day, man. I
Because
am very.
I just thought of Back to the
I live
Future.
for this. I live
I
for
just thought
this,
of Back
man.
to the Future. When
Yeah, I
you said
live
that,
for this because this is how I come out with the material that I want to speak on as far as my music. I do a lot of studying and then a lot to make sure that even if I'm not rapping about the stuff, my process for how I get my information leaks onto how I'm writing my rhymes because I
yeah,
know how to be crowd. It's almost like they've we have lived here with the system. I don't want to say enemy, but our system here in place. We've learned from them too. So I look at it like there is no better representation of a better version of what they're doing than us, because we know them so well for the wars and stuff that they've done against our own people, that when we see this thing disintegrating and falling apart, it makes it easier to navigate and move out of the way and go forward, because we know them well. You know your enemy well, when even though if they're getting the advantage of you and they have everything systematically in place over your head, you know their patterns, you know their routines. And now that people are awakening, their routines and patterns haven't stopped, and we can see them and we can point them out. And we know because, hey, you guys are still on the same script. You need to change your game. Learn how to dribble with your left hand. You're going right all the time. Like, you can see the mistakes in the system. And in each thing, it's hard. It's going to be too hard. You can't tell a perfect lie, or you can tell a perfect lie, but all it takes is a pebble for the whole thing to fall apart.
yeah,
The most elaborate lie, one little tiny rock will shatter the whole lie. And we're living in that time right now. And it's just funny to see it in music, film. Like, it's not, people look at Trump and they just focus on him. It's everything. It's not him. He's just doing his job for this system, his role. And if he gets out of line with what they don't want, then you're gonna, yeah, you're
John F.
gonna see
Kennedy,
him disappear.
like
So
John F.
he's doing
Kennedy.
what he needs to do to stay alive
Yeah,
and to keep himself going, because he ain't running nothing. And I don't think people understand that. That's to get you in the fog and to get you arguing and divided. Oh, and they keep that in the news. Every time
yeah,
I'm at the news, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. I'm like, man, get this off the TV. You want to solve something? Let's go to the top. Let's see who's really running this thing, and stop playing with the people of the world, and making it false beef or some false narrative, and come up with a positive outcome that everyone can flourish from. And that's why that's not the case. So
yeah,
I just I really tread lightly when I consume things in my house. I don't want nothing really messing with my field.
yeah. Seems that you know a lot about the industry and just like what is being put out there, like on a mainstream level. And you've been doing the independent scene. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about the business?
You can't trust anyone. You can't trust anyone, and you need to feel. You need to use your, I was gonna say, God-given abilities, but as from where we're at now, I've spoke on this on a previous interview, and I told the brother, we need to, that you and I are walking down the street now, and I just tell you, I have a bad feeling about this neighborhood, or I have a bad feeling. Me and you, man, let's just stop and go somewhere else. And
You
all of
get
a
the
sudden,
message.
me and you look, and there was a shootout over there, and we just missed it. Those natural things, that gifts that we have as our people, that now is what we need that needs to be developed and strengthening to the point where as we rise in vibration, we need to tune into the things that are God given, because those things have been so minimized that when somebody does something, like for instance, I'm talking to you, this has happened before, but I'm just painting a picture. Talking to you, there's a desk or a in the kitchen, there's a stove or a counter. And while I'm talking to you, a pin is rolling off the counter. The pin rolls off and I catch it while I'm still talking to you. I've done that with my wife many a times. Just sitting talking to her, a pin falling, and I just catch it without even looking. And she's like, "How you do that?" And I'm like, just playing basketball and playing sports. I played in college before. I'm like thinking that. But as I got open to
The
to what's,
instincts and you feel,
yeah,
yeah,
I
I know
said,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah. So we have to train and develop those skills and that are in us, that we have had and that we got naturally in us, and go forward with those. Let those almost guide us in a way, in a time where everything is either AI, manipulative. Like, we have to now, as they advance technology forward, we need to advance technology backwards. Go to our strengths, and we can only go through our strengths by knowing who we are as people and knowing what ancestors we have that laid down something. We need to pay attention to what they said. What did they leave? What instructions or what things that they have, because they already been here before. And we need to study that and take that in instead of worrying about technological advances, because obviously they're getting that from another entity. So we need to focus on what was given to us, and focus more on that as people, and use that as a shield and as a cloak as we
So,
go forward in everything that we do.
so as you're saying that, to stay focused with all the social media, different platforms, and people getting attention for things that don't even have to do with their music, what's harder, getting noticed or staying consistent?
Getting noticed. Yeah, getting noticed, because they change it every time. Remember, the algorithms weren't as bad as they used to be. You would post something. I remember when it was Twitter, back when Twitter first started, I remember I could post a song on there, an MP3 file, and get 50,000 download. Back then, it was these sites where you can download the
Yeah,
mixtapes and the songs, and you click a link and it'll go to a page, and you remember, it'll download straight on your computer or phone or whatever. I get 50,000 in 5-6 hours download. So that you can tell the algorithm, and the kids don't understand, the younger don't understand that today. I'm like, when we used to get on the internet, it was why it's like you really felt how many people were out there, because you put
yeah,
something out there in the world, it's like boom, 5-10,000 people heard it already. So when they put that algorithm in there, I could tell, because we were there
I
when
could
it
tell
first
too.
started.
I could
And we
tell too.
know how it was when it first started. It was MySpace, that you put a song. It was, I was challenging myself to try to people to 1 million streams. We were getting 50,000 downloads in a day.
Yeah,
So just I wouldn't, 1 million would have been nothing to get 1 million plays and views. But they've compressed it, they've webbed it, and now they have the AI programming whatever they have the algorithm programmed to be. We're at its mercy. So you have to literally change every. We did this when we were a part of Certified Nation Entertainment, with Cool Rock Ski, and City the Great is an artist that's his particular label, and he gets tutelage from Special Ed. And we used to sit back and we would have team meetings, and we would be like, okay, what's going on? And a girl that was her area, and she would say, okay, the algorithms have changed this week, so we're gonna have to start approaching it differently. We're gonna start make or whatever they wanted to promote, like reels. She would update us and say, okay, it's better to do a reel than a post at this particular time. Stop doing the posts, do more reels, do more stories. And we would cipher this information amongst each other, So each artist had a game plan and kind of knew how to promote their music. But there's artists out there who don't have that team or don't have that that wealth of knowledge. And they're just out there shooting in the barrel, and it's really hard to get discovered if you don't know a little something first. You got to kind of know
Yeah.
the route that you're taking.
It's interesting because it ties back into what you were saying earlier, that when the thing is natural and then the business people, the people with the money see all that, they see a way to control it and funnel money to themselves, which is
And
what
it
I think
happens with
happened.
the data. The data is the thing. You always hear them talking data, 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 data. Well, that's true. I'll break it down to you in a way that makes it easy for the audience to understand. That is our age, or a little older or whatnot. We remember. I call it the Real Player One download. When you had your computer, you needed a file. You need to burn CDs. You downloaded Real Player One. It was free. You would put your blank CD in. Real Player One will pop up. You would because people were pirating music. You download your music from your Napsters, from your whatever, and you had all these songs. You drag them over and you put them into that Real Player or that Windows Media Player, and then you could name your songs. You could switch them up. You could right click on the actual track and then change the name there, or you can go into properties. And when you went into properties, it had almost like a little screen, almost looked like an application. And it
Yes.
had numbers. That is your metadata artist. Not just when you get onto the DSP, these distro kids and all the United Masters, where you have to fill it in. They're not telling you, they're not accurate, and I'm gonna make sure you all know about this. That's why every interview I'm gonna state, because the reason I know is you can't. They say think like a crook. It's the only way you can fight a crook. So we thought like a crook. I had a guy that I know, and he's okay with me saying this. He was making lots of money because he's doing streaming farms. He would have to be updated. He doesn't do it anymore. So people don't be coming out there. I don't know it. He don't do it anymore. He's already made his money. He's invested in the part. He's good. He doesn't do it anymore. But he would say they're changing this up. They're changing that up. And he's getting newsletters from the Spotify's and stuff. He's getting newsletters knowing what they're going to do. And then he changed his strategy because of that. So he was telling me, if you're going to get money, you need to make sure you're getting your metadata on each track, because he's generating the money. When we were putting out the tracks, we were only putting, if we even had an ISRC, or if the company was issuing the ISRC. Big mistake, never do that. You only getting one stream of money when you just put it on there like that. There's other numbers that you need to fill in, and you need to put it on the actual raw file. And there's a software that you can go to and put it on the actual file. So when you put the CD, say it's a CD. See,
Yeah.
they're too digital. And if this era was more physical, they would plainly see when you put it in the deck and put the CD in, if it does not have any metadata, people that are in their 40s and 30s, late 30s, what is the CD player going to say? Track 01. That means there is no metadata on that CD. Nobody changed the name. Nobody did nothing. If you got metadata on that CD, what is it going to say, folks, when you put it in the deck? Pengame Classic, 1 of 1 album. All my song, it's going to have the names of that means the metadata is on the actual file. So thinking like a criminal here, or a crook, which these DSP companies are, if an artist does the ISRC, say me and you, we load the files up of our new album. Man, they can download that, put it in the software like I just explained, and put their own information on there and then put it out. Now you're thinking, when you're getting all these streams, they're getting the other avenues of income that you're not getting. Especially more so people who sign artists, not necessary, because the other they I don't know how truthful this is, but they say when artists do it incorrectly, the money's just sitting there. Yeah, right. But say it's an ownership situation, that meaning it's in my best interest to know what streams that my artist is getting because I'm obviously putting money into them. So I'm probably putting my number in these areas or getting the right numbers and registrations for these artists. So the money's going to funnel in back to me because I got this artist signed to a deal. So I look at it like that, and I'm like, none of the artists are getting, and ASCAP, BMI are getting 50% of anything that people get automatically. So you're playing with 50% of the money that you have the right to, because 50% of it's gone. They say that when you register a song, you can only claim 50% of the song. So what the 100% that people are fighting for is only 100% out of 50. And then that gets cut and portioned off into different areas, whether it's radio or now streaming, arts, performances. Those are the numbers that we need to have on these files, people. When you only have just an ISRC, that only covers streaming. It doesn't cover the radio. It doesn't cover the other one. And like some of my good conscious brothers said, you like they say with energy, if you don't use it, somebody else will. And if you got music out there that's not put out there appropriately, somebody else will. So it's very shady, man. It's really shady. A lot. I've lost money. I'm not the only one where because I made some money. I've made over $10,000 streaming, and AI said that would be considered in the 1 percentile or 0.1 percentile of independent artists.
Glad you dropped this.
0.1%. So they're like, I'm out here like, man, I haven't done nothing. AI is telling me like, dude, you are rare. But some of that had to do with, my guy running that farm and helping me out. I'll admit that because I don't care about the numbers. It was the money, like trying to figure out how does the money. I was doing it mainly for that purpose. And now that I know how to put now my music. I've been direct to consumer since 2021. So now I'm really focused, but you need the numbers to be correct if you ever want to do film or get your music in the films and TVs. That's why it's important to know the numbers because they need that information when they're trying to sync license your tracks and all that. And you just need they're not gonna want, they'll just go to the next artist who got all their stuff together if you don't. So, it just makes it easy. Oh, this artist has everything together. Get that one. Where the other one doesn't, that's where it becomes an issue where people still need to know their business so they can acquire business and acquire opportunities. Still very important, even if you're not going to stream and you're going to go direct to consumer, you still need to know that because you could be limiting yourself from opportunities in film and sync.
Okay, so it sounds like you're well versed on the distribution of the music, and I know you have a project. What's your latest project? What message
It's
are you pushing right now?
one of one. You got one of one. I'm going to grab I have it over here. 1 second. One of one, which is out right now, people. We got the merch for it, which is on my site, categoryother.com, by the way. You got one of one. I'm in the Sahara. That's me in the Sahara Desert
Yeah, I've seen that on the
by
Instagram.
the country I'm on the border of Algeria and Tunisia. So I'm south of the country Tunisia by the Sahara Desert, and I'm right there by the Atlas Mountains by Algeria.
Yeah,
So the album One of One is more becoming one with yourself. Uh Basically, when I looked at my last album, I said, how does this new version of me, as far as my awareness and my consciousness, how does this look musically? Because I'm not the same person I was when I did the music just last year. I had grew so much, and I look at my growth in my knowledge wealth. How much
yeah,
wealth of knowledge have I gained the previous year or the next, the year? It had advanced so much because the earth started moving at a higher vibration, and I know when I can feel it because the way that I can measure it is when I go do my music. See, that's my superpower. That helps me know my level of consciousness overall. If I
yeah.
wasn't doing something, my muse or my creativity, I wouldn't be able to measure. because I've done it so consistently throughout my life. Last 20 years, that's, I don't have to really think when I go and do music. I'm listening. It's like an alchemist. It's like you're taking something from nothing out of something, you're turning it into something. So those vibes, those frequencies in that music, I'm letting that dictate and tell me what to write. So when I'm looking at one of one, it's like where I have to fine tune my frequencies, fine tune my brain and figure out, okay, how do I go forward? And I think that the first song that I have, that vibrational setting, that song, just the way I attack it and the things that I say on that song, I treat those intros to my people who listen. That's my report card.
Yeah.
That lets people know the first song on the last 6 albums is always my, hey, this is what I've been up to, guys, type of song. Or this is where it lets people know this is where he's going to go with this new album. It's an introduction. So I'm going to give him a little bit of talking about like some of the Trump stuff, displaying just the growth in the raps, still letting them know that I'm the same me with
Yeah.
certain lines and certain things that I've said in other out, let them know, hey, I'm still me, but also different. It's a
Yeah.
different
What
me, new me. And then it's
crazy because
now
my
we
next question was gonna be, is there a specific record you feel defines you right now? But as you see, you're in your flow and vibe. You're explaining without the
it's a lot,
question.
man. That album's really hard for you guys to, because like I explained earlier, I put it together like a film. So I
Yeah.
have the highlight songs, like and some of these songs were put together for sync recognition. So you got Live Your Dreams. That song is a staple. No GPS, another staple song. Whoever Knew, Sitting in Time, Fall Perspective featuring my cousin Miraculous. And then you have what's the other song? Never Knew There Was Time. I like Igniting Ignitions. And you got some of the other songs like Crush Waves, and they're in between songs. It's almost like if you go to a commercial on the show. It feels like some of the subject matter, and then you got these short tracks in between some of these songs, and it feels, if you're watching TV, you feel like it's a short commercial or a short movie preview, because it's just not, everything's flowing and moving, and the story content will go from to one high vibrational setting with a woman, to this guy's wife is about to get abducted because he's doing manipulating stocks, and people are after him, but it's in a story form, lyrically in a story form. And that's Crush Waves. Crush Waves is that particular track. And it's just real short, but the beat is really good. And that it kind of keeps people that are hardcore music or gangster, it keeps them in tune too. I got them in. I just don't make those songs my main songs, but they're on there. I fill them in the gaps between the other songs, so it almost plays like an infomercial or a commercial in between a show, where it's not the highlight of the album, but it's still there to give the vibe. So when you're listening to it, you should feel like, man, this guy's giving me everything. You're just not going to get a lot of that other thing, of the negativity. It's there. I've got them on there. Depth of Ego was another track where it's kind of got that vibe. I have them. I just don't highlight those tracks, but they're on there for the creativity and for the flow of the album and the polarity. You got to have a balance. So I do have some of those particular tracks on there, but I focus more on the positives. Like, you'll probably, if you listen to my music now, you can count on two hands on the entire album how many cuss words you hear. So that's just my approach. And I felt that way when I had my daughter, and now my son, who's 2, and you get in the car and you play your music. If you got any common sense or any heart as a parent, you'll
Yeah.
think about readjusting your strategy. You don't want your kids listening to that stuff. So that's why I changed it. I'm very you hear I treat my mixtape music like uncensored. I'll say anything I want on the mixtape track. But when I'm doing my albums, you won't hear that much cussing out of me unless it's a theme. If it's a that's when I let people hear that stuff. If I have it themed, like I'm gonna make this song about this guy coming home. He's trying to hide because they're after him. He manipulated some stocks. His wife went out to the car. The only thing that saved her is because it's winter time. She turns on the automatic start instead of going out there and starting the car up, and the car blows up. I put that in the lyrics. I explained it to you just by word. But if you, it's lyrically
Tell the story, yeah.
exactly how I told you in that song.
Yeah.
But I just navigated and say it in the way where it's rhyming and it's fitting. But that's exactly what happened. The one wife goes out and she hits the automatic start and it blows up. That's on my favorite track. And I love this when I was in Africa. It's like I had my headphones on and I was just playing this track nonstop. And it's Don't Try It. And that's the one about that's the culture. That is the where we're at now as far as politically. It's ruled by a tyrant. You better be compliant. Crowd noise might be a factor to count silent. Don't try it. And that song with that ruled by a tyrant. You better be compliant. Crowd noise might be a factor to count silent, like in the football. So basically, like if you're gonna move silently. So I'm telling them, like, and we're ruled by a tyrant, and you better be compliant. I'm giving people the temperature of this country. I'm
Yeah.
letting people know the vibe over here. And think about this. I wrote this 9 months ago. That song was done. I don't went to Africa and Turkey and stuff for a month and came back and been here for 5 or 6 months after that. So I already wrote that material last year.
Yeah.
And look at where we're at now. That's why I love that song. I love listening to Don't Try It because I think when people really know what I'm saying and hear, they'll be like, oh my God, this guy, yeah, like, did you know? People would be
Lined up with it.
amused, like, did you know that was going to happen?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I saw into the future. I knew what was going to happen. And I think the world realized that Black Americans saw and knew what was going to happen if you went this route. We knew what was going to happen. So it was easy to put it in a song because I knew it was coming. So yeah, but that's the breakdown. Don't Try It is one of my favorites. That's that one where it's ruled where I say that line. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite ones too.
Okay. So we're coming to the close of the interview. This is the rapid fire section.
All right. I'm
Kanye,
ready.
Kanye or Jay-Z?
Dizzy, his earlier work.
Drake
Yeah,
or
we're
J.
we're we're
Cole?
talking Jay-Z from Reasonable Doubt to Black Album.
What about Drake or J. Cole?
J. Cole.
Underground.
Drake has people writing for him.
Ah, but Drake also wrote for people too.
Has, has anyone wrote for him?
No, I said he also writes for people too.
Oh, I'm not discrediting him for
Ah,
writing. I'm saying Drake actually raps people's that stuff that people wrote for him
yeah.
versus J. Cole only raps his own lines. So I would put that's the only we're
Fair enough.
talking,
Yeah,
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 two
yeah.
great artists here. We got to find something to separate them, and that's just what I use to separate them. They're two great artists, people.
Underground respect or mainstream?
You got
Mainstream
I'm
still.
gonna say mainstream if you got you got kids and got bill.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
One
good to be
artist,
like, hey, I love the culture and stuff, but yeah, man, rents due.
one artist you think you must work with?
Oh man, that's a great question. Oh, there's so many. You guys would be surprised by it. Right now, Momo Boyd. Love to work with Momo Boyd. That's the
Yeah.
artist I was telling you about with the Infinity Song that's about to drop that album, Miss Michigan. It's a lot of artists like that. I forget the other guy's name. His name is Rodriguez, but he makes music that's almost like doo-wop. type of, I love doo-wop music from the 1950s in America, where the cheeseburgers were 25 cents and those old cars that they drive all the time in Cuba, and the milkshakes. And when white people say "Make America Great Again," people, that's what they're talking of. They're talking that era. But the music, I don't, I wasn't around, but I like the music from that era. I love
Yeah,
the doo 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 boop 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 bop. I love that doo-wop music. That's my favorite music of all time. So I would love to do a hip hop. I forget the guy's name, man. It's Ryan Sanchez or something Sanchez. He actually dresses in his concerts in that old attire and
yeah,
sings out there. He comes out in costume like that, where he's still portraying that era. And I would love to do an album with one of those artists, but have it be them playing the music, so it's not actual sample, it's their real music, but having a producer come behind and sample it and cut their music, and
yeah.
we make a doo-wop hip hop album type of thing but it's be samples, so it'll sound like a Jay Dilla or sound like that type of production, but it'd be that style. So I'm gonna say the Momo Boyd and the Sanchez guy.
Yeah. I know when you talked the doo-wop, I was thinking of Frankie Lyman.
Ah, love that music, man. Love it.
So one producer who you believe fits your sound perfectly.
Are they alive or not,
Either,
or
yeah, either or
did early Jay Dilla?
Jay Dilla.
Yeah, Jay Dilla to me. Yeah, because he
Yeah,
can make a he can I've heard this from a listener. He can make a smooth song. I've heard from someone that they're intrigued by how I can take a smooth sounding track, but be so aggressive on it and it sound good. And I just the melodies or whatever the song tells me, I go off that and it gets me in a zone. And I'm
yeah.
able to compound what I want to say. So that's why I would pick Jay Dilla, because he can make smooth songs, and I know I have the skill to get on there and even add an aggressive flow to it or story content that fits my style perfectly.
Do you want people to understand about Pengame Classic after this interview?
Just that I'm just like you all, no different. I just pay attention to what is within me. I follow what's true to me, what motivates me, what gets me going, because I have to be the one to attract everything else outside. And this world has to attract by how I'm feeling and thinking of myself.
Yeah,
So I've tried to think high of myself and to put myself on as a responsibility, not as an ego. It's more of a responsibility. I really don't have an ego. I know you have to have an ego when writing in hip hop, and that is a very difficult thing for me to balance right now,
yeah,
because I don't want it to throw off my regular life, where I'm so in tune, because they've used her where actors have gotten so deep into their roles that when the movie's over, it's hard for them to snap out. And that's how I look at when I'm writing. I don't want some of that negativity, if I have to do a certain type of song, to filter into my regular life. And I can't shake that ego or that shadow. And it grips me, because those are living entities. It's living energy. If it's an old energy, that's it came from a place of real. So that's what I want them to know, is that I'm just in tune. I am here for the muse, a father, a husband, somebody that just loves humanity and loves our people in a way where I want to see us grow. I want to see us in the future uh getting credit for the inventions, and having institutions where our children could come in and grow with the natural things that they are born with, and grow and make the universe a better place, because I believe we'll be in a different state later on down the path, or down. I don't think things will be the same. So that's what I want to be great for humanity. And if you're involved in arts like I am, I want to make the most beautiful work that I can possibly make, so that if it's an alien will come here, there's nobody here and all we got is my work. I want them to be able to listen to it and be like, this is remarkable stuff.
It's a deep interview here today.
I love it. This has been
Yeah,
one of the best ones that I've had this week.
yeah, this is one of our better interviews that I've
Yeah, I can't
had.
wait to see this
Yeah.
one. I've had 3 so far. It's been the best this week. I've had 3. It's been the best one.
So where can people tap in with you?
At Pengame Classic on I know people, they don't want to get on some of these, but I have to stay on these platforms, people, because I have clothing, as you can see. I have physical copies, CDs and vinyls. So I have to stay on the Twitter or on the X and on the Snapchats and TikToks.
That's where the
I'm not
people
a
are.
part of the boycott, but at Pengame Classic on those, at Pengame Classic on Instagram, and categoryother.com, which is spelled, the way that you spell category, but OTHA. So it's category OTHA.com. So categoryother.com. And that's where I'm going to start having all my announcements. I'm in the process of loading my full catalog on there once I do my metadata and make sure everything's in place, because I only have that on 2 albums so far. So that's why people come to my site. They won't see that much music, because I'm not putting it on there until I do. I'm auditing myself right now, basically. I'm auditing myself.
Yeah.
So everything's going to go on the site, and that's where my videos, everything is all going to be on the site, categoryother.com. So people will have a one-stop shop to be able to come in and get updated with where I'm at. My links are all on my site too, to my social medias as well at the very bottom.
Thanks for coming on, telling your story, man.
No, thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man.
Because without people, you guys are very important. I just want to let you know these
Thank you, man.
platforms
Thank you.
very
I
important
like the
today.
support. Sometimes, this thing gets hard sometimes.
I'm understanding, but
Yeah.
I say this not just to tell you, but for the listeners, the people out there. These platforms are very, very important in today's climate where you have agenda and propaganda going on. We're gonna need platforms like this, people. So support Worldwide Entertainment TV. Support these platforms that are bringing you this, because they're giving you a different way to think. If you're going to listen to I'm not saying the names of these entities, but when you turn on the TV, what news channel are you going to see, or what? If you're just relying on that, then you're relying on what they want you to, how to think, or what they want you to know. So these platforms, when you always see those movies where Armageddon has damn near happened on Earth, and they go look, what do you see? Recordings like this. Look at those old space movies where society has been wiped out. They go look and they go through some garbage. Somebody recorded something that looks exactly like this on those movies where there's no more society, and someone saying, hey, this is day 338. I've been sitting here for 100 and something days, and they're talking. Man, they're trying to give us signs of this along iRobot movie days, or I Am Legend, that movie. These are going to be the truth for people. It already is, to get different information. So it is vital that you guys support Worldwide Entertainment Television and all these other platforms, because I need an alternate thing. You need an alternate opinion or alternate thought process. That is important for human development and human evolution. We cannot have it scripted for,
Yeah, yeah,
bad purposes.
yeah. I'm glad what you're saying, because sometimes I know some people say we always bring up historic artists and don't count on the trend stuff a lot heavy as before. But we always believe that you have to document some of this stuff, because how I've been seeing the whole timeline of industry and entertainment on both sides of America and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, the people like to tell a lot of revisionist history. But
Yeah,
if we have
yeah.
history do the thing, you could go back and you could see the real time.
We don't need revisionist history. So we need to start well, we already have. we need to document our stuff. So keep these platforms going. You got my support, brother. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you, you know, whatever. And I definitely appreciate being on your platform today.
Thank you. So, yeah, probably we'll get some clips out this week, and the interview will be out next week or the week after because there's someone else's interview ahead. But
Take your time, man. Take your time, brother. It's going to be good footage.
oh
I'm
yeah,
glad that it's going to be good. I can't wait to
no,
see.
I know this is a really good one. I could tell.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be very good.
Yeah,
So,
because you drop some music in the industry insights. Yeah.
all right, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Anytime, man.
All right. You guys be safe.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
New studio.
Stay tuned.